What is up, y'all? Welcome to another video of the Football Physios, where we cover everything in the world of soccer, fitness, and rehab. If you're new here, my name is Andy. I'm a physio in the United States, and I specialize in covering soccer injuries. Today, we are talking about Courtois, the goalkeeper for Real Madrid, who recently tore his ACL. And he's not the only Real Madrid player to recently tear his ACL. I have a video for Eder Militao linked in the description, so if you want to see that one, check it out below. Now, typically for these injuries, I always like to show you guys at least a still frame of what happened when the injury took place, but unfortunately this happened during training, so we don't have any footage of it. What I do want to talk about in particular today is, will Thibaut Courtois be back before 9 months? Now, typically, whenever an ACL injury happens in professional sports, it gets reported to the media that the athlete will be back between 6 and 9 months, which typically never happens. Why? Because the 6-month mark is very dated. Frequently, at the 6-month mark, if you ask an athlete how they feel, a lot of times they'll say they feel really good and they're ready to play. But if you take a deeper look and you really do a good job of their physical testing, you'll notice there will likely be some deficits left at 6 months. Furthermore, the risk of re-injury, the risk of re-tearing that ACL between 6 months and 9 months is still extremely high. Now, if you know all that, why would Thibaut Courtois come back quicker than that? Well, let's talk about it. First, you have to think about the mechanism of injury for ACL tears. Typically, it's a non-contact injury where a defender is reacting to an attacker, and it involves a twisting or pivoting motion under fatigue. And the other mechanism of injury is a direct contact injury, which, to be honest, is frankly pretty common for goalkeepers. The amount of contact that goalkeepers take both during matches and even more so during training is often understated by the general public. But again, if you think about our mechanisms of injury, the twisting, the pivoting, and you look at, honestly, how many times do goalkeepers do that under high intensity, high velocity, super reactive situations out in the field, the answer is relatively low. That's not to say they don't do it at all, because they do, especially, if a ball is coming out them and they have to, react to it and come out and get it. But it's not nearly the same as a field player like a center back, a fullback, or a central midfielder. Because of that, maybe there is some wiggle room to bring Courtois back just a little bit earlier. Additionally, with field players, what's also a concern is something called chronic workload volume. Essentially, that's the piece of rehab where you're totally fine, you're totally healthy, you passed all of your testing. The only thing that you have left to do is build your stamina back up to the point where you're able to play 90 minutes without any restrictions, and you have the same stamina as your teammates. And obviously for goalkeepers, this isn't as much of a concern. Now, we talked a lot about the factors that might make Courtois come back a little bit sooner, but what about things that might slow him down? The only two things that can slow Courtois down are, number one, is if his ACL surgery also required additional structures to be repaired as well, such as the meniscus. And number two is confidence and psychological readiness. And this is a massive portion of rehab that often is not addressed in typical rehab settings. But for an elite level goalkeeper, it is absolutely essential. You cannot be hesitant, you cannot be scared. You have to have full confidence in your body, in your abilities. And sometimes that takes quite a while to get back. And again, a lot of times this goes back to your mechanism of injury. If you're a goalkeeper and you hurt your knee because somebody else physically ran into it, hyperextended it, and now you tore your ACL, of course you're gonna be likely a little bit scared when you come back, because the same thing can happen again. And it takes a lot of reps in rehab to really mentally realize that you are back and you are the same as before. Sometimes it takes a lot of time. But I wanna know in the comments below, if you were in charge of Real Madrid and Thibaut Courtois passed all of this testing a little bit earlier than expected, would you wait and let him complete some more rehab, or would you bring him back a little bit sooner? Let me know in the comments below. Peace and love, and I'll see y'all next time.